International Boxing Federation, along with recognition for the championship by the Bible of Boxing, Ring Magazine. And it's all brought to us by Riyadh Season, along with along with the General Entertainment Authority, GEA, with Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions, Canelo Promotions, Agon Sports, and Sella, and sponsored by Visit Saudi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, special thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh. That's right. And seated behind me, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very distinguished panel representing the two world champions. First, for Championship Team Scull, representing Agon Sports, Ingo Valkman, and head trainer Frankie Sadama. For Championship Team Canelo, trainer Eddie Reynoso, and advisor, I'm glad to see Eddie's family in attendance, and advisor Richard Schaefer. So ladies and gentlemen, at this time, let's meet the two world champions. First, with a perfect professional record consisting of 23 fights, 23 victories, including 9 wins by knockout. He's originally from Matanzas, Cuba, but now living, training, and fighting out of Berlin, Germany. He is the reigning and defending undefeated IBF super middleweight champion of the world, William El Indomable Scull. And his opponent on that fight night of 3rd of May out of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, recognized for the last decade universally as among pound for pound the best fighters in the world today. His professional record stands at 62 victories, 39 wins by knockout, 2 defeats, 2 draws. Damas y caballeros de Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, the former super welterweight world champion, former middleweight world champion, former light heavyweight world champion. He is the reigning and defending WBA, WBC, WBO super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo
de ti, que digas que soy dormido y que me traigan aquí, que digan que estoy dormido y que me traigan aquí, México lindo y querido, si puedo leer.
How do you top that? Well, we'll have to turn it over to our host, ladies and gentlemen, broadcaster and analyst for DAZN Boxing, Mr. Todd Grisham.
Thank you, Michael. What a thrill. The young version of me would be freaking out right now. I just got introduced by Michael Buffer at Radio City Music Hall. Hell, the old version of me is freaking out right now. But I got to keep it together. This is a big moment and a big event. And judging by the reaction, I believe that we have a lot of people of Mexican descent here tonight. Is that correct? So there's 3 things I know about you. You love boxing. You love Canelo. And many of you won't remember this tomorrow because you're drinking too much tequila.
BMC. Viva Mexico, cabrones!
Well, this is certainly a new chapter for Canelo. For the first time in his 66-fight pro career, Canelo takes his show on the road and will be fighting outside of North America. I'm going to ask the members of the dais some questions, of course, some questions for Canelo and William Scull, and then we'll actually open up to the media to ask a few questions, and then afterwards we'll have the stare down for the two men that will battle for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world in May in Saudi Arabia. First up, let's start with Canelo's advisor, Richard Schaefer. We haven't seen you on a dais in quite a while. Glad to have you here. What are your thoughts on this event and this fight?
Well, it's a historic event, a historic showdown, live from Riyadh, and very importantly, in prime time here in the United States on Saturday night, on the Cinco de Mayo weekend, May 3rd, something which was very important for Canelo, that so all you fans out there can keep on celebrating this important holiday and watch Canelo become a two-time undisputed world champion. What is important as well, the styles make fights. There's only two countries in the world which actually have boxing styles named after them. One of them, of course, is the Mexican style, which we all love, exciting, coming forward and so on. And then there's the Cuban style, which is more defensive, very technical. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see an amazing showdown on Saturday night. It will be history made. Don't underestimate Skull. He's an undefeated fighter, amazing amateur track record, and he's here to win. But Canelo, as always, has other plans, and he will be a two-time undisputed super middleweight world champion. Thank you.
And now let's hear from William Scull's promoter. It's your job to come up with a game plan and a strategy. Well, this is trainer Franco Saldama, a strategy to beat Canelo Alvarez. How do you do it? How does this happen?
First, thank you to be here. It's a pleasure. And I think the match plan makes a coach, not me. But we're working hard on it, and we're going to make a big fight. I hope so. And Miko, yeah. But the match plan is from the trainer, no, I don't do it.
We'll turn over to Franco. What are your thoughts on how William can win this fight? What does he have to do? In Espanol, who's our translator?
¿Cómo lo ves? ¿Cómo puede ganar? ¿Cómo puede ganar el combate? Frankie. Frankie.
Sí.
Bueno, nada, todos sabemos de que es un buen peleador. Para mí es uno de los peleadores un poco más grandes que hay. Y nada, la estrategia es darle un buen espectáculo, y el 3 de mayo van a ver la William Scull.
No tenemos miedo. Vamos a hacer un buen combate, señores. Canelo is a very big fighter, a very, very good fighter. I saw him last time in Las Vegas. Really, really good fighter. But William Scull is as well world champion. And we will see on the 3rd of May what's happening.
Well, let's turn our attention to the multi-time trainer of the year, Eddie Reynoso, who is here today. Eddie, at this stage of Canelo's career, what kind of things can he still improve on in the gym and get better at? And what kind of fight do you expect this to be in May?
Pues antes que nada vamos a pelear con un peleador cubano. La escuela cubana es de las mejores del mundo. Vamos a pelear contra un campeón del mundo. Vamos nosotros como a trabajar como siempre, con mucha disciplina, con mucha entrega. Canelo es un peleador que siempre está en el gimnasio, y a todos los rivales los tomamos muy en cuenta, y no va a ser la excepción. Vamos a hacer un gran campamento. Respetamos mucho el equipo de Scull, y nosotros vamos a volver a ser undisputed por segunda vez.
We're going to be fighting against a great Cuban fighter, a great champion. And, we know what we have in store. We're going to have a great training camp, and we're going to be undisputed once again.
How about we hear from the fighters now? You guys ready? And how about we start, ladies and gentlemen, with the fighter that many of you are here to see today. fighting for the very first time in his illustrious career in Saudi Arabia, a Spanish-speaking national hero who always represents his country with pride and respect. Damas y caballeros, make some noise for the super middleweight champion of the world, William Scull, everybody. You always introduce the challenger first. William, how do you feel about facing the face of boxing in Canelo Alvarez?
¿Cómo te sentís, William, estando contra la cara del boxeo?
Buenas noches a la afición. La verdad que estoy muy agradecido con el equipo Canelo por la posibilidad, ¿no?, de hacerle esto realidad y de demostrarle al mundo que sí se puede.
¿Podría repetir, por favor? Había un poquito de ruido acá. ¿Podría repetir la respuesta, por favor? Sí, podría repetir la respuesta, que había mucho ruido. Perdón.
Súbanle en los micrófonos o hablen más fuerte, no mamen.
Sí. Go ahead.
What did Canelo say?
Well, no, it's just that, he was saying that, like the fans here are loud, like that's just how they are. So, yeah, it's just how it is.
Well, William, how does it make you feel when people refer to this fight as a tune-up fight or a stay busy fight for Canelo? How do you feel about that?
¿Cómo te hace sentir que la gente diga que vos sos simplemente un paso más para Canelo, un precalentamiento para lo que viene en verdad para él?
Sinceramente, el que conoce bien de boxeo sabe que en el boxeo no es nada fácil, ¿no? Si yo estoy aquí es porque me lo he ganado callando boca, siempre dando pasos firmes y seguros. Y como siempre he dicho, ¿no? El día 3 de mayo y el 12 de round, de que saca el último round, es cuando se va a decidir quién es el verdadero ganador de esa noche.
Well, look, that's just how boxing is sometimes. I'm firm, I'm secure in what I want to do. And come May 3rd, I know that I'm going to display the best of my talents, and I'm going to be the best I can be in order to pull off the upset. I'm going to shut everybody up. You'll see.
Okay, now how about we hear from the man who really needs no introduction, the man to my right. A 4-weight world champion, a future Hall of Famer, and the face of boxing. He's the unified and perhaps soon to be undisputed super middleweight champion of the world again, Canelo Alvarez, everybody. Canelo, what do you make of the turnout here with all your Mexican fans?
No, I just feel grateful about have you here, guys. Always support me, and let's make history. Let's make history. Thank you, everybody. Gracias a todos. De verdad aprecio mucho su apoyo, cabrones. Muchas gracias. Que vamos a hacer historia. Que viva México, culeros.
I know Cinco de Mayo weekend is very important to you. You'll be in Saudi Arabia fighting for the first time. How do you feel about that?
No, I feel great. That motivates myself. Spain, fighting in another country. I feel great. I feel great about it. Motivate. And this fight is very important to me. I never take nothing easy. I always train in my 100% because I know he have a lot of skills, but he's no other Canelo out there. So I'm gonna prepare myself and put it a good show in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. And for my uncle Turkey, Alashi, thank you. And it's gonna be excited. I'm very motivated for this fight.
Well, Canelo, I'm sure you heard the big news yesterday. Turki Al-Sheikh is creating a new boxing league. He promises that there will only be one world champion in each division. Right now, he's also considered a world champion. As someone who has the WBO, WBC, and WBA titles, how do you feel about that?
I feel good because at the moment I have the 4 belts. It's like if there is just one belt, it's mine too. So I can adapt myself in any way. So I don't mind.
Well, you've knocked down your opponents in your last 4 fights, but you haven't gotten a knockout since 2021. How likely is it that William Scull is able to go the full 12 rounds with you?
You know, it's gonna be difficult because his style, you know, the Cuban style is a little bit complicated. But like always, I'm gonna try my best, and I'm gonna be in the ring and like boxing is, you know, hurt your opponent as much as you can, and I'm gonna do it that May 3rd.
William, this is by far the biggest fight of your career. You already see how many people here are cheering for Canelo. It'll be an amazing moment. How nervous are you to step in the ring against someone of the caliber of Canelo?
William, esta es claramente la pelea más importante de tu carrera hasta ahora. ¿Qué tan nervioso estás de estar en este escenario de cara a este gran evento?
Un poquito más.
De que, bueno, que esta es la pelea más importante de tu carrera hasta ahora. ¿Qué tan nervioso estás de cara a este gran evento? No me escucho. They can hear. Hello? 1, 2, 3, testing. Oh, ok, William, esta es la pelea más grande de tu carrera hasta ahora. ¿Qué tan nervioso estás de cara a este gran evento?
No, la verdad que soy un boxeador que viene bien preparado, ¿no? Tengo una buena escuela, que es una gran base que tengo. Y no, me siento muy bien para enfrentar este reto, ¿no? Como siempre he dicho, ¿no? El sacrificio es la felicidad de mañana y me he sacrificado muy duro para lograr lo que tengo y no, se está tomando esto con una forma muy linda, viviendo un lindo momento y una gran experiencia y siempre exhortar lo que esperen el 3 de mayo que van a disfrutar de un gran boxeo.
I feel really good right now, actually. I rely on my fundamentals, and I have prepared really well in a very dignified way for this fight. And all I want is to be ready for May 3rd and give the fans a great fight, which is what they deserve.
Well, Canelo, everyone knows a potential showdown with Terrence Crawford awaits in September. He decided not to have a fight until then, but you said you were going to fight in May. Why take the risk?
No, I like to be active. And I don't take, we don't have a fight till September. We have this fight, and then we will see the September fight. But I'm focused 100% on William Scull.
And William, what's your message to your fans in Germany, your fans in Cuba that believe in you and think that you can indeed beat Canelo and become undisputed?
¿Cuál es tu mensaje para la gente y qué tenés para decirle a aquellos que no creen en vos y que quizás vos también sí podés ser el que sea indiscutido y el que derrota a Canelo en mayo?
El mensaje para la gente, ¿no? Que siempre se puede, ¿no? Para las personas que siempre han subestimado, que es feo subestimar a los oponentes, además en este mundo que es el boxeo, que es un deporte tan difícil, y yo soy un guerrero que siempre he venido de abajo, y estoy seguro que vamos a dar un buen batagazo, y estoy orgulloso de poder representar a todos mis cubanos, que siempre están atentos, y a disfrutar del 3 de mayo, que va a ser una gran noche.
My message to everybody is that everything is possible. And, I'm really proud to represent all of Cuba in this fight. I'm going to be ready, and I'm going to give the best I can. That's all I can promise, and it's going to be a great fight. I promise you that too.
And Canelo, what can your fans expect to see from you in this fight?
Like always, I'm going to put my best, my experience, my talent, everything I have there. So, like boxing is, I'm going to try to hurt my opponent as much as I can.
All right. I believe we're going to open the questions for some media members to ask a question to Canelo and to William Scull. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is for Saul. It's Omar from Box Nation. Listen, obviously your ambition is to become undisputed at super middle. Is there a possibility in your 4-fight deal that we see you go back up to light heavyweight and maybe take on Dimitri Bivol, whoever has the belt next year?
Everything can happen. Everything is a possibility there. So I like challenge, and we'll see.
Thank you.
How you doing? DJ Juanito Hot 97. This question for the both of you. Neither of you will have home field advantage in this fight in Saudi Arabia. How much does that goes into your preparation for this fight?
Bueno, que ninguno de los dos va a tener la ventaja de ser locales en esta pelea. ¿Cómo creen que afectará a la pelea en sí? What's the question for both of them or for someone in particular? Both? Okay. Go ahead. Who do you want to answer first? Canelo? Canelo, entonces la localidad, el no tener, el que sea en un terreno neutral, ¿cómo afecta la pelea?
No, obviamente es algo nuevo para mí, pero todo el mundo es territorio Canelo, así que donde sea que pelee para mí, no importa cuál sea el lugar, estoy listo para lo que sea. Como decimos en México, el que es perico donde quieras verde.
Well, you know what? It's going to be a new experience for me, that's for sure. But I'm also sure that the whole world is Canelo territory. So, like I said in Mexico, just wait for me. You'll see me. William, entonces lo mismo para vos, de que cómo te va a afectar que sea en territorio neutral y que ninguno de los dos tenga la ventaja quizás de contar con el apoyo de su gente. El territorio neutral, y cómo te afecta el saber que no va a haber ni localidad ni visitante, que va a ser en un territorio en el que los dos están en igualdad de condiciones.
No, la verdad que no, he cruzado 4 países, ¿no? Y siempre he ido de modo local. La verdad que creo que soy un boxeador que está listo para guerrear donde quiera que sea y siempre sacar la victoria de la forma que sea. La verdad que creo que va a ser un lindo ambiente y una nueva experiencia para esa noche, para mí y creo que para el equipo Canelo también.
Look, I've fought in 4 different countries already. This is nothing new for me. And I think it's going to be a really nice experience, something that I'm going to enjoy. And in the end, it's going to be great for all of us. Next question.
Canelo.
Hello.
Mike Coppinger.
All right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Canelo, look, you're the face of boxing, not just in the U.S. but across the world. What makes you so excited about fighting outside of North America for the first time with this fight in Riyadh?
No, I'm very excited to fight outside of my country, of America too. So I feel very excited about it. So always in my career, I always want to fight in other places. And this is the moment. And I feel very excited.
And now, how about a question from the man who made this all possible, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. You know, I respect the school of boxing from Cuba, but now I am asking as a fan. My question is for Canelo. There is one item missed from you. In the 3rd of May, are you get it back to be complete in the 12th of September in Vegas in the big fight? Are you complete the items and take it back in the 3rd of May?
Bueno, Canelo, entonces sabemos que tenés un año con muchos desafíos. ¿Me escuchás? Hola, hola. ¿Sí? Probando, ¿me escuchan? Sí.
Hey, man, I'm gonna look great.
There is one item missed from you now. That belt.
The belt. But I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I got you.
All right, and with that, we will now have the fighters face off. Do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch all the fireworks live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, part of Riyadh season, live on DAZN, May the 3rd. All right, here we go. Canelo and William Scull, ladies and gentlemen.
Gracias, muchas gracias. School, you bring your bitch, huh?
Here they are, ladies and gentlemen. It all goes down in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Saturday night, May 3rd, champion versus champion for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world.
Well, there you have it, Sergio. The press conference is complete. Canelo Alvarez, thousands of fans here inside Radio City Music Hall here for the champion, Canelo Alvarez. And I was asking you during this press conference to keep an eye on the body language of William Scull because he has never fought on a stage like this before. What did you think of what you saw from the challenger to the undisputed crown?
You can see that he wasn't accustomed to this big stage. And even Canelo chirped at him saying, hey, put your mouth against the mic and speak like a man. I love this side of Canelo. He was edgy. He was more talkative. He spoke with passion. And, of course, the fans here loved it. Man, I like this new version of Canelo, of what we're seeing here. And, of course, with William Scull, you can tell that he's a fish out of water. He's not accustomed to the big stage.
I thought Richard Schaefer said something interesting there at the very beginning. He noted that this fight was going to take place in prime time in the U.S., which means it'll happen at some point in the morning over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's a new wrinkle to all this as well.
Yeah, it is. They're trying to make it more, convenient for everybody to watch and everybody to tune in. And that was a good thing brought up by Richard Schaefer because that makes a lot of sense. So, look, I know there's a lot of moving pieces here. Whenever you have boxing so international and around the world, you want to please everybody. But if you can find a perfect spot and a perfect time slot where most people will watch, it's a beautiful thing for boxing.
Canelo Alvarez is obviously ticketed for a big fight September 12th. We believe that to be against Terence Crawford. Turki Al-Sheikh himself alluded to it there during this press conference. And Canelo really shut down most of the questions about Terence Crawford. He seems pretty locked in right now on William Scull.
Don't worry, I got you, is what Canelo told Turki Al-Sheikh. I love that, man. He looked at William Scull and he says, hey, man, that belt's coming home. Look, he has an undefeated fighter in front of him. He's a world champion. You got to respect the fact that he's a world champion. Canelo knows what he has in front of him, but he also knows that he has a tall task to please in his excellency.
Todd Grisham referenced the fact that Canelo has not scored a knockout since 2021. He's had a lot of good fights, a lot of clear decisions, but has not had a knockout there. And he was asking Canelo about scoring a knockout against William Scull. And Canelo said, look, that Cuban style can be tricky. What does he mean by that?
Well, the last Cuban that he faced was Erislan de Lara, and we know how tricky that was. Look, the Cuban school of boxing is totally different than Mexican style. It's actually a lot difficult. Most of them are southpaws. Most of them are groomed to box. A lot of them are strong. They have speed. They're really big for their size as well. Wide shoulders, long arms. You can see how big William Scull is. So with that reach, that footwork, and that pedigree, they could be headaches for anybody.
What do you think that William Scull's game plan is going to be in this fight?
Cuban school of boxing, sticking and moving, boxing. He's a little bit unorthodox. He drops his arms. He punches from weird angles, but he's going to have the size. He's going to have the range. He's going to have the experience. And if he brings the confidence, he can be tricky.
We're always kind of waiting for that next level of slippage in Canelo Alvarez. He's not the destroyer that we saw between 2018 and 2022 when he was beating Gennady Golovkin, when he was stopping or winning all four of the belts at super middleweight. Where do you think he is right now as a fighter?
Well, look, he hasn't had a stoppage in 4 years. I mean, his last 6 fights has all gone the distance. So it's not that he's losing a step. He's fighting bigger fighters, man. This is a man that started his career at 140 pounds. He's fighting all the way to 175. He's facing undefeated fighters. He's facing guys that don't know how to lose. Younger fighters, bigger fighters, heavier fighters. So give this man a break. He's fighting. He's going to be 35 years old in a couple of months. He's still the goods, and he's still at top of his game.
All right, we're going to bring in our own P.T. Barnum, Todd Grisham, who just finished hosting the press conference up there. Todd, what did you think of the energy up there on that stage?
Well, it was a little mixed because of the Spanish-English translation, but I know they got noisy when I mentioned tequila. I know that. And Canelo. But to further your point, Sergio, I believe Canelo said after the Edgar Berlanga fight, after he knocked him down, he said, I listen to whatever Eddie Reynoso tells me. And he told me to be safe, be patient, and don't go for the kill. So Canelo almost, when he said that, seemed like he wanted to go for the kill, but he's doing what his trainer told him. So if Eddie doesn't tell him to do it, he's not going to do it.
And Eddie knows. I mean, Eddie knows his fighter better than anybody. So he knows look, don't put yourself in risk if you don't have to. You can get the knockout, but look, we're thinking about longevity. We're thinking about the big.
But what about Skull? He's got to knock this guy out, doesn't he?
Why? Skull can be tricky, just like I told Chris over here. He can be a tricky fighter. If he gives you that opportunity, great. But this is the Cuban style, the difficult style to pin down. He's a strong fighter. You've seen how big he is. So look, don't take him for granted. This kid's going to come to fight. Canelo, if he has a chance, take him out. But I would say
you're smiling. Go ahead.
Tread lightly.
Sergio thinks everyone that fights a tricky style is, impossible to beat. What did you think of the energy those Skull had up there? Because I was wondering coming in, like, he'd never been on a stage like this before. Yeah. He won his world championship in basically his backyard of Germany against Vladimir Shishkin. He fought recently in the U.S., but when he fought on that Canelo Munguia undercard, there was literally nobody in the building for that fight in Las Vegas. I was one of like 5 people that was watching it. What did you think of the energy Skull was giving off?
Well, I have a feeling if this fight was in Las Vegas or New York or Mexico, obviously, I don't know that it'd be a much different experience. We've been to Riyadh several times. It's a completely different experience, almost like fighting in Japan, where the crowd not nearly as loud, much more polite. Up there, he didn't seem too nervous. Again, with the translation, a little bit was lost, but he seemed like he belonged. And, he's already hit the jackpot. Just getting this fight and getting that money in Saudi Arabia, his life is going to change forever. So if I'm him, I just go for broke, just have a good time if you can, and do the best and let the chips fall where they may.
Sergio, we're all talking eventually about a Terrence Crawford fight, but Canelo was asked earlier about Dimitri Bivol and whether or not he's willing to move up to 175 again for that fight. He left that door wide open for that opportunity.
Look, I said tread lightly earlier. I'm going to say it again. Dimitri Bivol is at the top of his game. He's all wrong for a fighter like Canelo. He's going to be bigger. He has that jab. He has that footwork. He already beat him once. And Bivol just beats the monster at light heavyweight in Beterbiev. So the momentum is with Dimitri Bivol, but Canelo and that Mexican machismo, he doesn't want that loss on the record. He wants to get it back. That's the thing about the Mexican pride.
I know a lot of people think maybe we could get Benavidez and Bivol at some point, but Chris, is the Benavidez still that one fight that you think all boxing fans really want to see? He wants Bivol, but the fans say we'd rather have Benavidez. Why do you think he's obsessed with getting that back rather than beating the Mexican monster?
I mean, I think when you have a loss, you always want to avenge it. I think if Floyd Mayweather was still active, he'd want to fight Floyd Mayweather again. He had a draw against Gennady Golovkin. He made sure he won a clear decision twice against Golovkin. So I think it's more about that than it is any type of opponent. I'd certainly argue that Dimitri Bivol you can argue he's a tougher fight than David Benavidez. Right now, Dimitri Bivol is at his very best. He just won a decision against the biggest puncher, or one of the biggest punchers in all of boxing, Artur Beterbiev. David Benavidez is great, don't get me wrong, but it's not like by passing on a Benavidez fight that he's looking for something easier against Dimitri Bivol.
It's a different type of tough test. I think Dimitri Bivol is more of a headache as a boxer, but as far as a physical fight, it's definitely the Mexican monster.
By the way, I think I saw some of the Rockettes backstage. I know you want to go get some autographs.
I have no idea who the Rockettes are.
Yes, he does. Of course he does. All right. We have got a lot of boxing up ahead here on DAZN. Manuel Flores will return to headline Golden Boy Fight Night on DAZN in a 10-round super bantamweight matchup against Jorge Lealva. And Friday, Sergio Pettis, the younger brother of former UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis, takes on Sabari Jashinikar in the India Professional Boxing League. And Most Valuable Promotions will take its talents north of the border to Toronto, Canada, as the undefeated Lucas Body face the Philippines' Ryan James Racaza live as part of your DAZN subscription with over 185 fights per year. Make sure you head up to the DAZN platform where you can see our stacked upcoming schedule, where we list all the exciting fights we'll be streaming live on DAZN. Plus, you can check out the brand new Ariel and Ade podcast.
Hey everyone, I'm Ariel.
And I'm Ade.
Introducing the Ariel and Ade Boxing Show. All the headlines and hard-hitting debate from the world of boxing.
And we've got special guests every single week.
So if you love boxing, you'll love this program.
Every Tuesday, live on DAZN.
Well, the big fights, they keep coming here on DAZN. Boots Ennis, title unification fight against the Stanionis, April 12th in Atlantic. After one of the most wild press confrontations of the year,